she was dead, but she must die in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, destiny is written somewhere, no?
Something like that. But when we are born, we have a time clock, and that runs out. But when it runs out, we don't know. So somebody catches on a train accident, another on a plane accident, other people, the time clock catches in a tsunami or something like that.
It's just before I came here, I was in a bus, and there was an accident, and the bus is like going to fall down. And then in my head it was, it's the end for me? No, can't be. I know it's not finished. I must doing some more things in my life. And then it can't be that this bus falls now, very quick in my head. All these innocent people, and then the bus stops and didn't fall. And before, I must go out to make a pee. And the man, it was only a post control, not a stop to pee. And he pushing me, run, quick. And after all this, I said, maybe if I do it in my time, this accident didn't happen. Or maybe,
Don't worry about these things.
If I didn't do it, maybe it was.
The word "if" is not, it's not. The word "if" is not used within kamma. If I didn't do that, if I would have done this, this is just not. We just have, the moment. There is a situation. We have the moment to decide to go in which direction. But when we look at the past, and said, if I would have done that, we don't know what would have happened.
No, but I mean about destiny.
Yes.
This man forced me in my destiny because I didn't want to run to make more pee-pee. He forced me in my destiny, actually.
Well, yes, you can see it this way. There are so many factors. For instance, the tsunami. There was a person from Bangkok who was every morning at about 5 o'clock from Bangkok. He was going down to Phuket. That morning the tsunami happened. He overslept. That's the first time in his life that he overslept. Otherwise, he would have been killed the same way as the other people.
Yeah.
So it's and the people, who surprisingly survive a plane crash are the ones, who have not, whose destiny is not to be killed yet. On the other hand, there was about, 20 or 30 years ago? I think 30 years ago.
1980.
1980,
or 79.
It was the king's birthday. It was the king's birthday, and the king invited a lot of monks, to come to his birthday in Bangkok. And he sent a plane for the monks here to Udon Thani. And they were entering about 12 arahants. That means 12 holy people into the plane. And Lungta Mahabor said, no, it's not your time for me to die. But the others all knew, it's the last trip. They all knew the plane is going to crash and they're all going to die.
Why did they go in?
Well, then, if they don't die this way, they will die another way.
They sit and they fall.
Anyway, and they're not afraid of death anyway.
Yeah, I know.
So what you cannot escape. If you go out of if you go out of your house and the car will hit you and you die, you don't have a choice. With death, you hardly have a choice. What you can do is, with your life, you can prolong it a little bit. You can work on the time clock a bit. You can turn it up, so that you live a little bit longer, and you turn it down, that you live a little bit shorter. But that's the only thing that you can. But if there wouldn't be kamma, and kamma is the law ruling all the universe, and the kamma tells us, the kamma, our kamma of our past lives, makes our lifespan in this life. So, the Lord Buddha very clearly said, the person, who is a taker of lives will have a short life. But not in this life, in his next life. So he will die. So he will have a short life in his next life. A person, who serves other people by their hands, all the time, not regarding itself, will have, in the next life, will have beautiful hands. And a person who serves with the whole body, serves other people with the whole body, will have a beautiful body. This is the kamma, the Lord Buddha really gives a very good description. In one of the suttas, there are many things, that he said. What affects the next life? But we are living now this life. So, what we can change is the next life or the next moment. That is the only thing that we can change. If you are going to speculate about the past, it's fruitless, it's useless. It's really useless. Only unless we have seen that one of our actions leads to unwholesome effects. And then we can reflect upon that. And that's where we are going to use our memory for. We can reflect upon the bad results of our actions that we have done in the past that we can still remember. Now the actions from our past lives we don't remember. So if you see that there's something, like harsh words or greedy action will lead to unwholesome effects. In this, in this very moment, or in the next very moments, or in the next hours or years, then we can change it. Then we can use this memory, to say, "Oh, see what you have done? I won't do this again."
That's just what I see in my life, and I think about that I produce 2 times the same thing, and when I produce it, I realize it, and after a moment, and now I say to me that I think, is it not that you must do these things in your life? Like I should do the meditation last year, I didn't do it, and I come now, I push it on. There are things to do in your life, and then it's actually how many times you take it to do it, no? And to realize everything.
Well, it takes us a long time, to do things that we need to do. Other people need to have a near-death experience in order to understand what their purpose was in life. See? So you have a good choice, you still know it. And it doesn't matter, just do the things that you think that urge to do. But judge them. Judge them for yourself if they lead to wholesome results. Practice of meditation, practice of calming the mind, or practice of investigation, or practice of wisdom, that always leads to good results. So this is something that certainly leads to good results. Generosity leads to good results. Respecting other people leads to good results. And great gratitude leads to good results. These are things that we always should keep in mind. Anger leads always to bad results. Greed leads to bad results. We all know that. But we still are doing it. And we are doing it 100 times and 2,000 times before we actually can grab it. But if our mindfulness is not there, we will never ever grab it. Like the person, we are like blind people. That's why it's called, avijja is also called blindness. We are blind people stumbling in the dark. And we fall in the same pit over and over again. And then, the moment we get out of the pit, we ask, why did you, we know that this pit. Why did I fall in this pit again? Because actually we have our eyes up in the sky and not on the ground. That's why we always fall in the same pit. But then, unless we use mindfulness every moment, the moment we walk and are mindful, we are mindful of every step we take. We don't fall in this pit anymore. But we have to develop this mindfulness. Don't think, it goes from one moment to the other. It's a slow process. And if you listen, if I tell you, how difficult it was for me, to do the first steps, it was difficult. But the only thing I had, probably, that you do not have, this extreme determination not to let go of my practice. Whatever happened, I didn't let go. Whatever shit came up in my practice in the beginning years, the first 2 years were the toughest years. They were tougher than any form of life. I was still a lay person. But I practiced in the morning an hour, and in the evening an hour, and in the weekends several hours. And all the shit came up. And every moment, I was feeling, I cannot breathe anymore, because it seemed so heavy. But I said, okay, that's the way it is. If I wouldn't go through, if a person, wants to reach riches, and he knows he has to work for it, well, he will do it. Look at the gold diggers in the 18th century and 19th century. They worked their butts off, on the barest condition, hardly eating anything, working, until they couldn't hold the shovel anymore, just for a clump of gold. And what do you do? When we start the work of practicing, for our inner riches, then after 2 hours, it's too much. We need to take a rest. If we have something in mind, and that's what I had. If I had something, I thought, or I had the idea that there is something beyond, that there is something, to catch. So that's why I took up all the heavy stuff. And it was really, every day, I was breathing, I thought, I was not making, I was breaking. And I said, okay, you still are alive, you didn't break yet, so. And every day, all the shit, that I've done in the past, was coming up. Until after 2 years, most of the, all the coarse things were cleared off. But if I wouldn't have done it, if I would have avoided it, if I said, that this is too much, practice is just leading to bring up all this shit, I would have stopped and never find my inner riches. That is the determination I had. The determination not to let go, whatever happened. And at that time, I didn't have a teacher. I don't know how I managed it. Only once in a while I went to a meditation course, and listened in. Once or twice a year. And the rest I was on my own, not being able to ask anybody. What is this, what is that, just trying to figure out for myself. Just finding the wholesomeness in my practice. And it was tough. It was really tough. So you're lucky, if you're placed like this. Though it is tough, you still have the spiritual guidance. You still have the spiritual support of this whole monastery. And especially of Tanacha Mahaboa, who spiritually looks after this monastery. So you're in good hands, nothing really can happen to you. But don't think, that we get there easily. Most of us don't get there easily. For most of us, it is really hard work. And this is what, to be to continue doing it, to have the determination to do it, to make up the effort to do it. This is what is necessary. And that is what is lacking, especially in Western people, but also in Asian people. 2, 3 months, they might put a lot of effort and a lot of determination in their practice. And after 2 months they get bored, and they think about other things. Being it monks or being lay people. I've seen it with monks and I've seen it with lay people. They're interested, yes, this is something, And then after 2.5 months they don't get any results, then they switch to easier things. Or lay people just disappear back in the world. Yeah. Well, it's a lot of fun, out there. That's what we think it is. It's a lot of fun,
Not everybody can be one.
Huh?
Not the whole world can become one.
Not the whole world wants to be a monk. Look at the few people who are coming to the monastery, and how many billions of people exist in this world. Even in Thailand, it's a large amount who have been monks. It's 200,000 or 300,000, but the population is 60 million. So think about it, huh? And I think it's the highest percentage of monks, within the country. So just think about it, and the religion is everywhere here in Thailand. And don't even come with this argument, if not everybody can become a monk. There are only few. The Lord Buddha, at the times of the Lord Buddha, he taught, there are only few who have little dust in their eyes. I mean, they are not completely blinded by the world. And these ones are the ones who are looking for these places, to practice, or looking for the teachers. So, consider yourself to be lucky that you are one of them. And don't waste your good faith. Don't waste your good luck, Just use it. Just use it up.
Sometimes I say, are the other ones not more lucky because they don't ask all these questions?
Yes, they are. Yes. Of course, I've asked myself the same thing, But since I was born, I always ask the questions, Why do I have to think? Why can I just not, be just an ordinary person, going to work, and coming back, drinking my tea and watching TV? I was so bored with this, I just couldn't do it. There must be something. I said there must be something. Since I could think, there must be something. Something that gives a sense to it all. And first of all, I was, of course, brought up Christian. I was looking in Christianity to find something. And then I was disgusted with Christianity because it didn't give an answer or forbid everything, that was fun. So I said, no, this is not the thing. It never gave any explanation. And then 10 years later I came across Buddhism. And it's the first religion that gave explanation. Why is this? Why is that? Why does it happen like this and why does it happen like that? Why is one born in a rich family and why is the other one born in the ghetto? Why does one has the chance to go to higher education and get a good job and the other one, is just so stupid and just do the thing? Don't ask yourself. Don't, just take what is there. You've asked the questions, and you want to know the answers. So take the fortune, to get the answers. And the answers are only in one place. They are within our own heart. And what I can do is point to the things. But a pointer, when I teach, or when the Lord Buddha taught the whole way, said it's pointing to the truth. It's not the truth itself. The words are not the truth itself. They have nothing to do with the truth. Just like the sign to Rome has nothing to do with the city of Rome. Or the sign to Wat Papantat, as beautiful as it might be, has nothing to do with the forest monastery of Pantat. You understand that? So the words of Samadhi has nothing to do with the actual experience of Samadhi. It's just pointing to that and telling you the way, how to do it, to get there for yourself. Like the signpost tells you, if you go this direction, you will end up. If you go straight, you will end up in the forest monastery of Pantat. But if you don't follow the sign, you will never end up. You understand this? The whole teaching can only be pointers to the truth. It will never be the truth itself. So just fiddling with the words, or fiddling with the pointers or manipulating the pointers, doesn't give us anything. But going the path, in samadhi, just continue doing our practice. Just do Buddha, Buddha, Buddha until the Buddha snaps in. And it will snap in. I can promise you, if you do that, it will snap in. And then, then you can observe this Buddha. The Buddha, that repeats itself within our own heart. And then we can listen to it. Then we can listen, and be enchanted by the word Buddha that repeats within our own heart. And it's so peaceful and it's so harmonious. But if we don't make it going, if we don't make it happen, it won't happen. All the things that I say, are worthless if you don't do it. They have nothing to do, with the truth. The moment you experience samadhi, you know for yourself. And I know it doesn't matter, what kind of word you describe your experience of samadhi. I don't know if you've been there or not. Because I've been there myself. And you've made this insight or that insight, I'll know. Or I will know immediately if it's just a conclusion. If it's just an assumption that you make. Because of my own experience, I do know these things. Not because of my magic. I don't have any magic. But I'm just an experienced person. I've done the things that I tell you now all by myself. I've done them. I've gone through shit. I've gone through happy times and I've gone through very tough times. But I never gave up my Buddha. Or I never gave up my investigation. It was something, it was so ingrained in my heart that I didn't let go of it. Because it was the only mainstay I had within the waves of this world. And the waves of the world. The waves of the world, the waves of lust and greed and hate, and, they sway you from here to there. And you have no chance to rest. So if you have the mainstay of your own heart, then there's a place where you have a safe haven. A place where you can rest. And that's what you need to work on. You understand that? I hope I make this clear. Just all my descriptions or just all my words, have nothing to do with the experience itself. It's just like I tell you, when you touch a fire, the fire is hot, and then you have all sorts of imaginations how the fire is hot. The only time, you know what hot means is when you actually grab into the fire, then you know what it means. And it's the same thing, however beautiful the signposts are. Some of the signposts are engraved gold letters. Then once you see the signpost, you think, oh, this must be a very beautiful place. Because it's engraved letters, And another signpost you see, it's just a copper plate. But engraved copper plate. Well, it's okay, And the other person just sees the wood, and painted on with white paint. And another signpost is just a piece of paper, sloppily written, this is the direction to Wat Papanta. But they're all of them, point to the same place. You understand that? This is the important thing. We don't go for the signs itself, but we go, where the signs point to. We go back to the heart, or we do the work. And that will lead us there. But of course, if 5 people come to these 5 different signposts, and then they meet each other, and they talk about how Wat Papantat looks like, or how the forest monastery of Pantat looks like. The one says, oh, it's beautiful golden, and the other says it's copper, and the other says it's a sloppy written, and they all think they're talking of something else. Because they take the signpost as the real thing. You understand that? It's the experience itself that gives us, that brings us there. It's the way, the way that is so kindly taught by the Lord Buddha, how to get to these experiences. After smoke. Where is it from? Singapore? She didn't come on. But just move in, if you want to sit or you want to go back. Well, this is cold, it's not. Sit on the mat. So you understand, this is there are different signposts. So different people or different teachers will talk about, will use different words, but it points to the same thing. So don't get confused by the words, just do your work. And the work is very simple. The work is so utterly simple that we despair the moment we start it. There's no more simpler work, in this whole universe than just doing the word Buddha, repetition of Buddha. We don't even have to train it. We don't have to understand a lot, to do the work. Just Buddha, 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 But it's so difficult to keep it. When we speculate about, the 5 minutes, we do it for 5 minutes and then we speculate about the results that we get from it. And that's where we are wrong. Instead of doing our work, just doing the work, just not interesting about what it's going to be resulted. Then we will end up, we certainly will end up. But the moment we hear some words or the moment we hear some description, we take the description as real. And then we get confused and we make our own imaginations how this samadhi will be. Forget it. Your samadhi is different than my samadhi. You will experience it different because you have a different background. You have a different characteristic tendency. So your experience will be different. But they have something in common. But that something in common, only a person, who has experience for himself can tell. So just go there, And what happens is that the mind first becomes peaceful and happy. It has to become peaceful. It has to become happy because it cannot run around, and look for all these embarrassing things or all for these harassing things or these worrying things or fearful things. It doesn't have the time to. So it has to become quiet. The heart is a single processing machine, There's no magic about it. It cannot do things in parallel. It just can do one thing at a time. And that is the reason why we can control it. Why we can handle it. If it would be really parallel processing machine, we wouldn't be able to handle it. Because we can only do one thing at one time. So just put your attention on the word Buddha, don't give up. Don't forget, I went through a whole lot of shit in the beginning stages. Just trying, not to let my mind run around. And when you look in the scriptures, the Lord Buddha describes this as taming a wild elephant. Do you know how long it takes to tame a wild elephant? A long time. Not only 5 minutes, not only a few weeks. It takes years to really tame it, to make it doing what we want it to do. And just remember, your child, how long did it take you to get an adult? How much training of the mind, how much training of the body, and how much training of our character was involved into it. And did we like it? No, of course we didn't like it when our parents said this is wrong or that is wrong. You should behave like this or you should behave like that. It was difficult for us. But we didn't have any other choice. And now we think we have other choices. And that's why we go wrong. We don't have any other choices. It's the same kind of training. The training of the Chitta Bhavana or the training of the Chitta is the same thing as in our use, the training of the mind or the training of speech or the training of walking. We just don't give up. You didn't give up, learning to walk, otherwise you wouldn't be able to walk. So why do you give up now? Because you think you can do this? Or learning to speak. All of you can speak, How long did it take you? A few years? To learn to speak, And how much how much hassle was involved in there, how much hurt we got because we mispronounced words and the adults were laughing about us. And we couldn't express ourselves clearly. The adults didn't understand ourselves, what we really wanted. So they didn't give us what we wanted. This was a lot of pain involved. Learning to speak and learning to walk, How often did we stumble, hit our head or hit our butt or hit this or bricked our car. What's that in English? Getting in Thai. Hurt our foot or tossed our foot. So, but we didn't give up, did we? Otherwise, if we would have given up, we wouldn't be able to walk, and we wouldn't be able to talk. And how much longer did it take us to train our mind how to properly think? From the age of 5 to the age of at least 15. Until we really could express ourselves and, do what, So the training of this body, the training of the faculties of the body took about 15 years, to really use them. And now we think we don't need to do it. And you think the training of the chitta will take much less? We'll just do it in a snap of time, huh? We know even if we go to university, it will take 4 years, to finish the job. Huh? 4 years, yeah? But do we give up? No, because we want the degree. So we don't give up. Huh? But with meditation, after, it hurts so much, How much hassle is it to study, subjects that you don't want to study? Really just pass by, You just have to do it, that you don't have any other choice. Now think yourself in the same situation, you don't have any other choice. Just don't give up. And if we do it like this, we will get a degree. We either learned, to get into samadhi. And it worked, for me after 2.5 years it worked out, I was sitting there and then 1, 2, 3 I was gone. Every time. It just happened, and I didn't really encounter that. And the first time, I didn't even know what it was. So I asked the teacher, what it was. Okay, this is this. Okay, that's nice. And then I wanted it again. And that wanting again, didn't make it happening for 1 year. And this was extreme dukkha. 1 year I couldn't get back into the state of samadhi. Because I wanted it. I wanted it so badly. In the end, I just gave up this one. I just had to let go of this one. Then Ajahn Mahaprabhu tells about the same story. The first time he got into samadhi, and then he just wanted to get into samadhi. Until he realized that he has forgotten his work. And the work is just Buddha, 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 Buddha. That's all. That's the only work. But it gets difficult, and then we get declined, Then we think about this to do or that to do. And maybe we have a determination, like I said in the beginning, for 2 months, And then after 2 months, all our power seems to be sucked away. And then the world seems to be so rose and so colorful. And what we are doing seems so blurry. If we just would continue just 1 more week, then maybe our meditation practice would show results. But then we decide, because we are caught by these colors of the world, or caught by the smells of the world, or caught by the distraction of the world, and then we go back in the world. And then we come back, after a while we might realize, or it happens to quite a few, they might realize that this doesn't bring anything, and they come back to the monastery. And then they set up their determination again. And I've seen people, every year they come, stay for 2 months, and then they go back in the world and they come back again. And each time they start at the same thing. They start back at the beginning. It's a little bit easier each time, but they start back. And then they met the same difficulties, and then they go back into the world. Or when you're a monk, then you go into this kind of doing, or that kind of doing, or building work, or this kind of work, or this is more important, that is more important, and you forget everything. You forget the real purpose. And don't, if you take that, what made people, to ask yourself, what made people, working for 40 years, really hard, just to find a clump of gold, just to find a piece of gold. They hardly had anything to drink, they hardly had anything to eat, they just slept on the ground. But they were so blinded by this gold that they will find. They kept up doing this hard work for 40 years, ruining their whole, ruining their bodies. And then they found a piece of gold, and then within no time, a few months, they spent it in line with their wishes, and it was all gone. 40 years of work. And that is not so with the gold that we will find within our heart. Because the gold is within our heart since the beginning, so once we find it, we have it all the time. So no matter what kind of hard work it is necessary to unravel this gold within our heart, do it. It's worthwhile. Get the determination, or get this trust that there is something. That there is something within us that is worthwhile to discover. People go all over this country, all over this world, to discover new things. But they don't know who they are. And they don't know why they are doing it. Now they go into space and discover other planets, and trying to find other lives, other forms of life. It seems to be much easier to go out and look for other things out there than to look within ourselves. But once we get the clue, and once we get the finding, once we get the inkling, just a little bit of shiny within that, and that is the first experience of samadhi, that is the first shining of the gold that is inside of us. Then maybe this keeps up our determination to go for the real thing. And it's only the first step, I'm only talking about the first step, to get you calm, to get you enough mindfulness, to get you a little piece of happiness and trust, that there is something worthwhile to do the hard work for. Because samadhi itself, doesn't relieve us of all the dukkha. That is clear. Samadhi gives us some confidence and some trust and develops mindfulness so that we can do our kitchen work. It sharpens the knife so that we can do our kitchen work of investigation. And when you do kitchen work, the sharper the knife, the easier the work goes. And everything is cut up. But if your knife is not sharp, even trying to cut a lettuce is a hard work, You might need to do it, or you might not even succeed. So that's why it's worthwhile, to pursue samadhi, to pursue samatha meditation or calm meditation. First, to give us some confidence that there is something, to see an inkling of the gold that resides within our heart. It doesn't reside outside of our heart. Wherever we go, we take this gold with us. Or wherever we go, the shit that covers this gold, we take with us. So whatever you do, to get rid of the dirt and stones and the shit, that covers up this inner riches is worthwhile. Because then wherever you go, this riches show up. And if they only show up, once in a while, it's still better than they don't show up at all. But as long as we don't know this inner riches, we are still blinded by the world and by lust and by greed and things like that. What's that? We are so much pulled by the smells or by the tastes, by the sights and by the sounds, and by the touches and by our thinking, especially if we come from the West. We are so thrilled by our own thinking. Extremely thrilled. Because within our own thinking we can build the whole world. We can satisfy everything what we want. But what does our thinking has to do with reality? As I said often, if we think about being rich and how to spend all our millions of dollars or billions of dollars, it doesn't make us rich. We don't have this money. But just the thought, of being rich and spending it in line with this or in line with our wishes and fulfill all our wishes, just gives us the feeling of happiness. And when we come back out of the dream of our thoughts or imaginations, then we are back in the cruel old world. And then, we live in this cruel old world for another 5 minutes, and then we think this is too much, and then we go back in our imaginations. How would this be? How would that be? How can I change my future? How can I change this? Why is this happening, And just switch back into the mode of dreaming, in imagination. And that's what we normally do. We dream in imagination, constantly. During the day we daydream, and in the night we night dream. And for some people, the dreams, are nightmares actually.
I meditate, and after I take a break, lay down and fell very quick in sleep and have these dreams, like flash dreams like that. Mm-hmm. What about I meditated? And in the night it's the same thing. I sleep 3 hours, meditate maybe, mm-hmm. and I have these flash dreams. And me, it helps me. It's true, something true, no? I see things in my life and these dreams.
Well, yes, that, if they show you something, how to correct it to make it better, then it's worthwhile. Yeah, but most of them, they really don't have, Some of them in the beginning, they might have, They might have an impact. But we have to be careful. Dreams are just dreams, just visual things, thoughts. But if it's a flash, where you see a past of your life, and then you see it because of a reason, and then you can think about it.
This morning I wake up and I had the feeling that 4 years, this war, and that I begin to start accept my life and all the things that happened in my life. Before I try to find out why.
Mm-hmm.
And this morning, between all these dreams and these things that I have, I start to accept. You can only accept.
Of course, we can only accept. The reality is the reality. We cannot change. We are stones that are flying through the universe. We cannot even, and then our way is pretty much destinated. What is it? What's the proper word? Destined? Determined. Yeah. So we just can only accept it. If on our way, we hit another stone, we just can accept it. But we can change our future. And especially we can change the reaction to the past kamma that we have. This we can change. Well, set up a smile and said, okay, you must have been a really bad guy. That's what I always told myself, when some heavy kamma was coming. Boy, look what a really bad guy you must have been, that this kamma comes over you. And then I could smile, and take it, and not react. And I must have done terrible things, because otherwise I wouldn't have reaped it. But I must have done some good things as well. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. And I must have done also some good things, otherwise I wouldn't have took up practice. So, we all have done bad things and we all have done good things. And the good results will show, and we take a smile, We normally accept them very easily. And we think this is our right, And the bad things we think this is, somebody puts that on us. That's why the Christians always run to church and say, please, oh my Lord, take this burden away from me. But when they win in the lottery $1 million, they don't go to the church and pray to God, please take this burden away from me, or please take this win away from me. We only want good things. We just don't accept the bad things that happen. We think our right is only, to accept good things. Our right is only good things, and if something bad happens to us, somebody is guilty for that. And we find the scapegoat, in punishing or kill him off. Whatever it needs, But the scapegoat is within us. So whatever we receive right now, whatever we've sown in the past, that what we reap today. And that's what I told myself all the time. See, this is what you've sown, this is what you reap now. So better be satisfied or better accept it. And take a smile, it just passes by. It's a momentary thing. Things arise and cease. Kamma passes, Comes, grabs us, and it passes away. And then it's gone. But the moment we have it, it's like, the moment we are sick, we cannot move the body, or the body feels ached or feels terrible, then we think, we're going to die and this is the end of our life. But the illness passes by, like the bad kamma passes by, and then we don't even think about it anymore. You remember that? Everybody of you remembers that. And that's the same thing with our kamma, it comes, and the moment, of course, it comes, it's heavy. Like any kind of illness is heavy. And the moment it passes away, we don't waste a second thought on it. It just passes. So that's how things are. They come and pass away. They come into existence, pass away. The body comes into existence and pass away. Feelings comes into existence and pass away. Memories come into existence, pass away. Just don't grab these things. Just observe them as they are. Coming in and passing away. Coming in, changing and passing away. This is law of nature. Everything is impermanent. Nothing is stable. The only thing that is stable is our citta. But at the moment, the citta is defiled. Defiled with greed, hate and delusion. So we have to clean it off, Just think about, doing your laundry, Even if you don't like to do laundry or washing up after you've eaten a nice dinner. You still have to do it. So clean up your laundry and don't get any dirty laundry. And the dirty laundry is just our kamma. So just try to make not too much bad kamma. Try to make good kamma so that you will receive good fruit. But when you receive them, that is another matter. Like a farmer, if he puts this seed in or that seed in, if he plants, if he plant wheat, then he knows it takes about 6 months to ripe. If he plants lettuce, it takes about only 2 months. But if he plants an apple tree, it takes 7 years for the first fruit to come. Think about it. And it's the same as kamma. Some kamma comes, in this life, and some kamma will come only after 5 or 7 lives. We don't know. But if you don't plant it, it will never come. Understand? And if the farmer thinks, it takes too much, to get apples, then, just let's steal the apples from the other guy. If he doesn't grow his own apples, he will never receive them. No matter how long it will take, to get the fruits, if you don't plant it right now, you will never get them. Understand? So take a smile, smile about the bad situations that come upon, nothing kills you, The chitta is the naktamtiyo, that means the everlasting tourist. It goes from one body to another body or from one place to another body. It never dies. Everything else dies away. This world dies away, and the other world dies away, this body dies away, and the other bodies dies away. But the chitta who inhabits this body will never die. So what to worry about? Let's go and discover the true nature of our chitta. And if you go into the deep state of samadhi, then you will see for the first time this true nature. You experience for the first time this true nature. And that's why Tanaja Mahaprabhu calls this Appana Samadhi, or deep state of samadhi, the Nibbana of the little man. A preview of Nibbana. Just get a preview of it, to see what it is about, if it's worthwhile pursuing. And I bet it is worthwhile. You come out and you want to go back into it. If there's any work in this world, as tough as it might be, there's no work that is more worthwhile in pursuing than the work of Chitta Pavana. That means the practicing of our Chitta. That means getting the Chitta calm and doing the investigation to remove the defilements or to remove the kilesas. So, and with this I end my talk.
When I sit like before, and then when I move after, it's difficult to stay again. It will come one day.
Well, yeah. It took me a long time to be able to sit. In the beginning, I could sit only 15 minutes.
I never sit so much in this position.
Yes. And when you become a monk, and when you come to Thailand, you have to sit all the time, In Europe, you sit on chairs, and that is something very different. But here you constantly sit on the ground, and it takes a long time. And you also sleep on the ground, In the beginning, your body hurts a lot. But after 10 or 12 years, you get completely used to it. And you can't even sleep in this comfortable chair. I cannot sit.
I say it's strange. It will be very strange to sleep in a bed. I do camping, so it's on the ground, and sometimes not really straight. But I say it's better for the setting.
When I was at home, I was sitting in chairs, and after 15 minutes, I get completely restless because I can't sit in chairs.
Oh yes, can't sit anymore in chairs.
Yeah.
When I first came here, I felt so ashamed of the all the brown people.
Yeah, I don't. There's no limit anymore for you to sit like that. You can sit 30 hours. I mean.
No, of course not. No, it hurts. It still hurts. And with age, the muscles and the things don't get better.
Yeah.
See, Tanaja Mahaprabhu is 90 years, 70 years of his life he was sitting like that. But now he, it's just, the old age, grabs the things.
Just the exercise you must do. Besides all the yoga.
Even if you perfectly exercise your body, it will break down. It's the nature of the body to break down. Once, you will not be able, and it's getting worse. Whatever you do. Like you try to repair a car, there is a limit to repair a car. It's the same thing. And this body is a car. And we forget this. We always forget this. That the chitta, that the driver of this body is responsible for the car.
Yeah, actually it's always the chitta.
It's only the chitta who is responsible of this body. The body just has its own functions, like the car has its own function. If you press on the pedal, accelerator, then it will accelerate. If you press on the brake, it will brake. And it's the same thing with the body. If the chitta doesn't say anything, the body won't do anything.
Mm.